Welcome to the Bear Collective podcast, where we meet you at the edge of what you know and dance with you into the depths of what you don't in all things personal development, relationships, and lifestyle. We empower you to take what you need and leave what you don't. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. Now let's get into today's episode, which is an off-the-cuff episode.
I love this.
I like the name.
Yeah,
It's catchy.
I think it's going to be a new style.
A theme. Love it.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring a conversation to the table. I went to an event last night that was an all-female event, and it was just around conversations that we're having there and meeting so many different women and learning about their backgrounds and what they're doing. And, mainly around the career side and like family and relationships and all the things. And literally that's the conversation. It's all the things. It's women who really want to be doing sometimes more than what they're just currently doing, more than their 9 to 5, and wanting to have that side hustle, but sometimes feeling tired or energetically drained, but they have so much inspiration and ideas and things that they want to do that's just bursting inside of them, and they're a bit held back. So I thought I'd bring that to the table and let's just go off the cuff and talk to it.
I love this idea and this conversation piece because it's something that you hear come up so often. I've experienced it. I know you've experienced it.
You can't have it all. You can't do it all. Do one thing at a time. You've got to be this or be that.
And I think even like the Barbie movie really highlighted this as well, with all the different hats that women tend to wear or feel they have to wear.
Yeah, such a great reference.
Yeah, love it. We'll not do that like script.
Hi, Barbie.
I can no. But I think it's something that we see all the time or hear all the time, and it's a really good one to understand, I guess, why and how, and maybe some ways that we can work with it.
And I think one of the common things or the common themes that I see is sometimes we fall into that 9 to 5, like whether it's being chosen or we fall into it. And as women, I really do think that we put our heart and soul into whatever it is that we're doing, whether it is, raising a family, whether it is a certain type of career, whether it's, within friendships, we really do tend to give our all, but sometimes we can therefore not leave enough for ourselves. We're so giving to everybody else and to everything else before ourselves. I think that's a good place to start. In what would you say that your observations have been, or that shifts that you've made within yourself, where you've clocked something like that and you've had to pull back and actually learn to prioritize yourself? And it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're not a good mom, you're not a good wife, you're not a good partner, you're not a good friend. To prioritize yourself is actually a gift to those people and those relationships. A recent one that I will go from is I've got a lot that I am planning and wanting to do in my business, and obviously wanting to do this podcast takes up a lot of extra time, and I've had to really pull back consciously on my friendships and like social engagements, even family engagements, and I'm really just pulling back and realizing, okay, what is my focus right now? What's my intention? What do I want to be, what do I want to spend my energy and time on? And so those things, I've not put them to the back burner, but I'm just really consciously saying to people like, no, sorry, I've got other things that I'm working on right now. That, it's not obviously everyone, but it's the people who I know, like I see them really regularly, or family that I know we've got other things coming up, and there's just honestly a lot on at the moment. So those sorts of things. And with this podcast, big time, cutting out whole weekends to really just focus on that. And that's meant like really thinking, okay, what do I need to commit to? And obviously, like, I've had appointments and doctors and things like that have come in that I've had to prioritize, or vet appointments for the boys and stuff like that. But otherwise, like, they're the general things that have to happen anyway. And it's those things that you can
choose from
Mm.
consciously whether you need to prioritize them right now or
Yeah.
not.
I think for me, it came to this point where I had a 15-year career in the corporate world and scaled to the top of that and did very well. But there came a point where, you know, the question you kind of start to ask yourself is like, well, for me, it was like, what's the kind of impact that I want to have on the world, and what's the legacy that I want to lead or leave with the world, and, you know, my future family and all the rest of that kind of thing. So sitting with those thoughts and realizing and being okay with not everybody can come with you or wants to come with you on that journey.
Yeah.
And you do need to, just really manage your time and your energy and be conscious and intentional about where you spend it, who you spend it with, and how they leave you feeling and what you want. Where does that marry into the things that you do want for your life? Because life is so precious. As one of my sayings is, you know, this is your one wild and precious life. Like, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do? What do you want to leave the world with your impact?
Yeah. And what would you say to like a woman who really does have a lot on their plate, as many women do, like raising families, working full time, running households, etc.? What would you say to a woman like that who's really struggling to find the time, struggling to do that, like exactly what you just said, you know, struggling to find those boundaries?
I think it started with what I call like the 1%, and it's taking as much time as you can in a day, whether that is 5 minutes or whether you can do 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever it is within your day, you can always find 5 minutes sitting with yourself and being intentional with that 5 minutes. And I would start somewhere, and somewhere I start, I advise my clients is just journaling out what's going on for you right now and letting that out, because it's hard to put more into your cup when your cup is full, and your cup also might be a bit dirty, as we say, like the water's a bit dirty because you've taken on so much. And it's really then kind of a process of looking at what is consuming, say, the time or your energy, and actually taking uncomfortable ownership of where you might actually be disempowering the people around you by doing things for them, instead of actually taking a step back and making somebody else responsible for that. So empowering kids. I mean, I remember being a child and being empowered to do those, you know, chores and things around the house, and each age things, you know, stepped up. Or, you know, when we moved houses, I got as a builder, we moved houses a lot. So when we step up to a new house, there might be a bigger house, there might be more responsibilities, and it's all tied in with, you know, when you through high school or jobs, or, you know, part-time jobs and things that you had. But I would say it's, where are you taking on too much, where you're actually disempowering the people around you from taking that responsibility.
Even like, and I don't know if this is something you've seen, but even now, like, kids are so reluctant, it seems, to take public transport. Like, parents are transporting their children everywhere. And I understand that there's, like, you know, safety to consider and all sorts of things like that, you know, whether the child has the skills to do that, whether they're the right age. But, you know, for my era, I really felt like, you know, everyone caught the bus places on weekends, and everyone you know, would walk themselves places on the weekends. But you're seeing that less and less somewhat too. So I do see that we take a lot more on maybe than we actually need to.
Yeah, and I think you really hit on a point there of, it's a skill, right?
Yes.
And even for us, so going back to kind of your question, what my advice would be, we have to still continue to choose to learn and develop skills. Just because we're adults doesn't mean that we know everything. We are a human who is constantly evolving. And, you know, we've gone through stages of our life and phases of our life where we might have taken on these, you know, roles or responsibilities. We've come from trying to prove our worth, you know, in a job to secure it, or trying to be the best mother that we can be and be everything to everyone else. That's why there is that, you know, time and energy that we don't have, because we've just built, and we take on women, we just continue to take on because we can, we are, but just because we can doesn't mean we should.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So it's, it still goes back to the, you know, for example, I don't have children, so I'm very cautious to speak on children. Having been a child, I relate, we, you know, call buses to school and things like that. It's developing the skill, it's developing and having the conversations around the safety, you know, conversations and whatever it is that you put in place. But it's, again, it's taking that 5 minutes a day and picking one thing, you know, starting, I think always journaling out where you're currently at and letting that cup kind of filter out is the healthiest place to start. Then I think kind of picking one thing. Okay, what's one thing I'm going to pick from that list of frustrations of, you know, whatever's going on in your life at that point, and what can I do to empower other people around me? And it doesn't make you unkind, it doesn't make you uncompassionate, it doesn't make you a bad person, it doesn't make you not good at your job or incapable, but we're here to also empower people, whether it's children, whether it's friends, whether it's partners, colleagues, absolutely,
all the rest,
all the relationships, all the things, all the relationships.
And if I could add on, I think it's really interesting to, like, you know, when you start considering to build a 1%er into your daily routine or your daily life, any resistance that comes up, where is that coming from? We've all experienced resistance to do certain things, especially the things that we know we want or are dreaming of or deserve. And there's often so much resistance around that. So yeah, really good to dive into, why is this showing up for me? What am I gaining by not actually doing this thing? What do I keep playing, like the victim? Do I get to keep, you know, complaining to so-and-so about where my life's at and about how I don't have time for my dreams?
I think that's really the most potent question that you mentioned there, is what do I gain out of not doing the thing? So when we face the resistance of something, and I know we've had many conversations with about these, like, as we actively are choosing to evolve, it doesn't mean that we don't face resistance ourselves, and it doesn't mean it's something that we don't need to kind of work through
every day.
But it is, when we work through those things, life gets easier, the energy lifts and you feel lighter, you get more time back, or you get more intentional time somewhere. But what do I actually gain by not doing the thing that I know that I need to do? Who do I get to continue to play out being? Do I get to continue, as you said, I get to come to you, Jazzy, and I get to, like, vent to you that this isn't working, and I just get to repeat that pattern of telling you and, like, emotionally dumping on you, because that makes me feel good, and then I don't need to take responsibility for actually making the change. I can blame it on a partner, I can blame it on, you know, a friend, I can blame it on, you know, the timetable of my Pilates class, you know. Who, what, and where, what's the thing that you blame for not being able to do what it is that you want, or to make that change?
And that can be so hard, because it's truly admitting to yourself that you're the one getting in your own way with those, like, wants and dreams and desires, which it is us most of the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's it's the discomfort of sitting with that feeling. When you can acknowledge that, often there is an uncomfortable feeling that comes along with that. And it's learning how to hold that feeling, and actually feelings in and of themselves can be dissolved in about 90 seconds. And they'll keep reoccurring because you don't deal with them. You know, or when you are stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something really scary and stepping into courage, you will have that uncomfortable feeling. You'll continually dissolve it, but you know it's moving in a healthy way.
Yeah, correct. Whereas if you avoid that sitting with
Yeah.
and dissolving, you actually just get more and more avoidance over
Yeah.
time, more and more resistance over time.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you just focus on the feeling of, oh my gosh, this is so uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I don't like it. You're actually putting more fuel on the fire to feel that way, which is you're actually building up your own resistance to keep resisting. So it's not working for you. So you've got to do things differently.
No. I'm really interested though in why it is that women especially seem to be like, I guess I want to use the word creative. So creative in all of the things that they want to pursue and do with their lives. I find it really inspiring because like so many women I talk to, they might like you said, be working a 9 to 5, but then really want this other thing on the side and have all these amazing ideas and then just maybe aren't doing them, maybe are doing them or starting to do them. But yeah, it's fascinating that you seem to see it more in women.
Well, we are the creators of life, if you think about it.
That's why I like the word creative.
Yeah, we literally birth life into this world. We create a human inside of our bodies. So we are naturally creative, and that is a big part of our feminine essence, to explore that and be with that. And we are in, I don't want to go kind of too on the polarities of men versus women, but we are in a very patriarchal world that is very masculine structured, and businesses and 9 to 5 and all that structure, which has a place and we absolutely need. But when we sometimes sit more in the masculine side, we're not actually tapped into our creative. And again, when we're in unhealthy forms of our feminine side, that's where we can be too over giving, too overcompensating, too over caring, too overdoing things for other people, where we're actually disempowering them, and it's not actually coming from a healthy feminine space.
And you're someone who's spent a lot of time focusing on the feminine, from what we've talked about. So what have you found really like beneficial about that?
I think coming out of that corporate world, for me, that's where I felt very feminine in the way that I dressed, in the way that I spoke, in the way that I came across. But there was something inside of me that was like, I feel very structured. I feel very confined. I feel like this rigidity. And I felt like tied together, tied down in a certain way. And it was having to kind of break through that and realize, having that awareness that I can start my own business. I can be in a relationship. I can hold friendships. I can actually do multiple businesses. So, and it's just about it really does come down to a self-awareness and choosing to work on yourself. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing, guys. It's just that 1% a day. And if I use this podcast, for example, this was a seed that I planted with you about a year before we've actually started doing the filming and the recording, because it was about creating the capacity, the space and the time to do it. It is actually also sitting with the idea and going, can we sit with this long term? This is a long-term investment for us. And this is not something that we're looking to just make money from in clock, oh, we've done one episode, let's make $1 million. This really is a passion project at the heart for us. And this is about impact that we want to leave and that we want to share with women out there. So taking the time to really consider it and really be intentional with it and to build it. I think there is a time and a space for, jumping into something and not thinking things, like overthinking things. And I think that's where sometimes people can go wrong in feeling very confused and dazed about or I'm doing this side hustle and this side project, and they just start it instantly where they haven't actually considered how long they're going to do it for and where is it leading to and how's it going to fit in.
Yeah.
And then sometimes those side hustles, you don't need a lot of thought and they just take off and you love it and it just works and it just naturally fits into your time and your life that you already have, and it value adds rather than takes away or causes this, you know, chaotic kind of energy around it. So it really comes down to knowing yourself and knowing the, and I go back to impact, like just the impact, what you want to create with your life and what choices that you want to make around that.
Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful thing you see in business and probably in this like arena and niche of business as well, is just so many people wanting to make an impact and watching other people do that. But yeah, do you ever think like those people who jump into things without really much consideration are coming from like a scarcity mindset or a place of scarcity where they're like, well, I want this, I'm going to do it now, and like hope for the best? Or
two things. I think there's a lot of comparison out there that can make people want to lean into that. And then I'd also throw the question back to you. I remember having the conversation with you about the podcast. You were like, okay, let's go, let's film, let's do it. And I'm like, let's pump the brakes. Let's actually sit with this. So
I had so much I guess fuel to start filming like that. For me, I really wanted to have the conversations that we're now doing a year later. They were very fresh and like felt very relevant for me and very like needed for people at the time. So in my work role, I was having lots of conversations with people at work where they were like, do you have a podcast about this that we're talking about in session? And I'm like, I don't yet. And I remember thinking, oh, we have to start filming this. I really want to get this out here for people because so many people were asking me for it. I'm so glad we slowed it down. But yeah, mine was definitely like an inspired energy. But I've also seen that scarcity side where it's people comparing themselves to other people and then wanting to do it. Maybe for those reasons or from a place of lack. In some way.
And I think even with the comparison, there's kind of like if they can do it, I can do it. Like that's gonna be easy. And then when people rush into it, that's also where all the things come up. It's the obstacles that you face, especially when you start a business or a passion project, is being able to learn to be consistent and how you mentally and emotionally cope when you do receive an obstacle, when something doesn't go your way, when you don't get 100 subscribers like within the first episode or 100 likes on your post, or you don't get 1,000 people buying your product, and you're comparing. That's where you can fall off and go into that scarcity and that lack kind of mindset as well, which is a dangerous place to be. You really need to sit with yourself and really own your direction. I don't think there's a new kind of product or service or thing that people may want to do or share with the world that hasn't been done before. Like, we're doing a podcast. This isn't unique. There are so many podcasts out there.
Even in the personal development space.
Absolutely. And it is really stepping into, we did not listen to or watch other people's podcasts. We've really zoned into ourselves and the value add that we have. And us as our little twinnies that we call ourselves from when we met. That's not a story, but we've really focused in on what our value is within the space and what we want to add, what impact we want to add. And I think I want to dive into the energy side of things, because this was one of the conversations that was happening kind of at the event is, you know, the energy that can often be put into the 9 to 5 leaves people drained
Absolutely.
to then have that physical or mental energy to then go and do the thing that they want to do.
Yeah. The
And do
side
it
hustle.
consistently. And I think people know that they've got to do it consistently to have success.
Yes.
Or any kind of success from it. And that success and that consistency could be 6 months before you see success. It could be 2 years, it could be 10 years. There are so many stories out there, which I think is a really good thing to do research on or to listen to other people, is to understand that timing of things, there's no overnight success. Not one person on the planet came out of the womb and was an overnight success. I mean, there was joy
Yeah.
of that, but in doing the thing that they loved. So let's talk about energy and how you would advise or you would go about people who kind of say, I want to do these things, but I just don't have the energy. I just feel tired by the end of the work week and I just want to chill out.
The first place I go is like, well, where are you currently spending all of that energy? What are you pouring it into, or where is it, like, in your words, leaking out? Because oftentimes, like, we have so many ways that we are draining our own energy and we might not even realize. Like, even just constantly thinking about a project that you want to start
is
and
energy.
You are wasting that energy on thinking about, oh my God, I want to start this, but I've got to do this.
Yeah, you automatically put yourself into overwhelm.
Yeah, so that's where I will always start with people. Like, okay, let's look at your life. Let's look at the important domains. Where's it all leaking out? Where's it going? Some of that will be obviously really lovely stuff that those people want to be using that energy on or using that energy with. But then there will be so many places. And for a lot of clients, I think I see it's ruminating, like thinking about that repetitive thing over and over again. Having mental struggle and strain. And so we'll start there and work on those thought patterns.
And that's so true. The rumination, just the thinking about it, and instead of using that, okay, I've thought about this concept, this idea, or this thing that I want to do, instead of next week thinking the same thing and just sitting in the daydream space, is what is that next 1% step look like? And if you're putting yourself into overwhelm and being like, I've got to do X, Y, Z, and I've got to do it all today, you end up creating that resistance for yourself. You end up creating your own block. To not kind of go, okay, what's just that one step? What's that one step? Okay, the one step might be that I need to go and grab my journal and I need to just write down. You can write down a list of all the things that you think you need to do. But then pick the first thing
and do it
and make 1% progress. It might be researching something. Right. And you might put a limit on that. If you're somebody who knows you're going to overwhelm or you know that it's going to draw anxiety for you, you might go to Google and you might say, I'm only going to read the first 3 articles and then I'm going to sit with that. Whether it gave me the information that I was looking for or not, there is something that I can take from those 3. Let me sit with that. And that way you don't go into overwhelm. You really chunk it down. You break it down. And you'll find once you actually develop, it's a skill. Once you develop that skill to be able to harness your own anxiety, your own overwhelm, where you don't go into those places because you've developed a capacity to hold the volume of what you're looking at or what you're researching, what you're thinking about, and knowing how to take action still, then you'll start to expand and be able to build up the capacity to hold more.
Definitely. And I want you to talk to, like, energetic boundaries, how to set those.
I mean, I think that, again, I'm going to talk to a lot of women who we are kind of, I think, conditioned would be the right word, into being or needing to be the compassionate, the empathetic, and giving a lot of energy to make others feel good,
Mm.
and to make things, to fix things,
Mm.
to make things better, to be the healer, right? I think there's like some sort of meme around, or somebody I've seen a while ago, where, you know, when you, as a female, and especially when you become a mum, it's like you're the counselor, you're the chef, you're the
Yes.
coach, you're the
Yeah, there's a woman holding all of these like
yeah,
things,
Yeah.
like pans and
yeah.
yeah.
And it's kind of, again, looking at that and realizing that you can listen to someone who's going through something, and you can hold space for them without needing to fix them.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is enough.
Mm. And that's going to reserve so much of your energy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's going to empower people that you're speaking with,
yes,
to feel actually a deeper connection, like they're being heard, they're being listened to, and that they then can solve their own situation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a simple question of, does that feel healthy for them?
Yes.
Or, you know, how would you like to move forward? Sometimes that's all that you need to do, and that feels very clean. It doesn't feel heavy.
No.
Sometimes we tend to try and take it on and think, oh, we start having the afterthoughts, like when we're lying in bed, we're thinking about somebody else's problems, and oh, I might Google that for them tomorrow, or send them a link to this, or figure out how to solve that for them, or suggest this. The individual is going to do it for themselves in the way that they want.
And that will be best for the individual too, as well as for you.
Yeah.
And protecting your own energy.
Yeah. I think a question that just comes to mind is, where are you giving unsolicited advice? Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I think even, you know, working with people each day, you come to even see it with certain clients that will come to you. They do just want to talk and have somebody listen. And even just knowing now, like, I think it was something I really refined in my process was, would you like help with that?
Yeah.
Would you actually like help with that concern?
Yeah.
Rather than just diving into like a solution focused type of therapy where I'm sitting there trying to fix their things that I can't, because everyone has their own innate ability to heal themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to, when you ask someone, would you like advice? I think it's clocking within your friendships as well. Am I giving advice that they actually take on and make change with? Or are they coming back with the same problem and getting my advice, but not doing anything with it?
Yeah.
Because then, frankly, bluntly, those are some relationships that you've got to assess how your time and energy is being spent with them.
Yes.
Because that can be soul sucking.
Yes, absolutely.
It can literally suck the life from you.
Yeah. Just repetition.
Yeah, where there's no change.
Yeah.
You know, and you've done everything you can to empower people, but then if they're continuing to consume your time and your energy, and actually not taking on anything that you've given advice for, then that's kind of like an unhealthy venting.
Yes.
Side of a relationship.
Yeah. And if you're allowing relationships like that, that's somewhere
No
your
wonder
energy's
you don't
going.
have time.
So no wonder you're not writing that book, starting that business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it all does come down to really taking time, taking just 5 minutes, and you can even do just 1 minute of conscious thinking in the car. It actually doesn't need, if you want to do a big process around it, by all means, go for that. And I do have those rituals and things that I do with myself, but also it literally, you can be sitting on the toilet. And that's the place where most
thinking.
Yes. The shower and the toilet tends to be where you actually do get that those 4 walls and space and time to yourself.
Yeah.
And that 1 minute that you have there, you can actually just say, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What is working for me today and what's not working? Yeah, I think also acknowledging what is working, because sometimes we can tend to focus on the negative, what's not working. But a big part of the process when you first start actually wanting to make change is actually looking at what's not working.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, always celebrate what is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you do a 1%er, sit with that and celebrate it too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again, that is skill building. That's building your own internal validation,
Yes.
your own strength to do hard things. Celebrate those.
Yeah.
And again, that will expand you. The more that it's compounding. It's all about compounding. Those 1%ers will compound.
Yeah.
To 365 days a year.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Is there anything else you want to add to this one?
No, I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Mm.
And where are the struggles for you with time and energy? Are there any questions that you have that we can answer on our next kind of off the cuff conversation?
Yes.
I think this is a really good one because women are so multi-dimensional and we have so many things that we want to do, and I really
can offer.
Yeah, I really love and support that, and those are the types of women that are definitely for me in my world. I do strongly believe that we can do and have the things that we really want.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about seasons and times, sometimes it's moving fast, sometimes it's moving slow.
Yeah.
But it is all internal work that we need to do that comes from that place.
Definitely.
And it just starts with that small self-reflection and building on that each and every single day.
And I want to wish you the most like luck and joy in actually going after those dreams, ladies.
Get it, girl.
You got this.
Thanks for viewing, listening, or watching, and subscribing to the Bear Collective. We love having you around.
And we will see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.